Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. Y'all know why y'all here. Today we are talking Carlos King, his Mr. Monday show or what have you. Wanted to speak on what happened with Dr. Heavenly, since now she has spoken out in an interview why it is no more, and wanted to give his commentary. Now, I'm going to give his thoughts, and I am not going to play the audio because it's like 10 minutes long or something. So therefore, we're not going to do that, but I'll give his thoughts, and then I'm going to refrain from saying my thoughts until after I give you guys the synopsis. So the first portion, Carlos King wants to discuss, recap his Reality with the King Huntsville Edition episode with Marceau. Wanted to talk about whether or not he's had any interactions with girlfriends in the past and how far he went with him. Then wanted to then switch gears, switch focus over to Messy Mondays, the show with Dr. Heavenly. And he wanted to, basically say that Trisha, Ken, and Marquez had been on the show for interviews. Carlos King said that he had no idea that cast members were watching Messy Mondays. He said that he wanted to do this show because he loved doing it and he loves feeding content, and that he wasn't going to tell somebody else's story, and that Dr. Heavenly wanted to say that he loves Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Heavenly loves him, and that Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly did not fall out. And so then he shouted out the interview, but he wanted to shout out basically the only the gentleman, really. Wanted to really give the gentleman props. So I found that interesting. And so then, wanted to say that taking too far, calling a job and all of these things, and why Dr. Heavenly had to remove herself. And it is true that, that Carlos King can vouch for what Dr. Heavenly said. He said Love and Marriage Huntsville is his baby. He created it. It's the #1 show on OWN. These are his words, but not what the ratings say. Still a fan of the cast and the crew and everyone involved to make the show great. Has to have a real conversation that some people who do watch the show, he does not consider fans, and they shouldn't be called fans, and feels that they're just people that, are there to try to disrupt something, and that anything, that, people are there to disrupt a show or disrupt things to try to get people fired are not a fan. And so he said that those disruptors, they feel the need to take it too far, in people's lives. And he said, he likes to he said people should just give an opinion on something and then go to bed. And he said for him, since he loves talking about Bravo shows, he doesn't, call Giselle and drag her. He doesn't call Wendy's job and try to have something happen to her. He's not on Dish Nation trying to drag Portia and all of these things. And so he feels that there are only about 10 disruptors. He feels that there's only 10 disruptors that are in this group that are calling people's jobs, that are calling people's advertisers, trying to get people fired, and all of these things. And, basically said that Dr. Heavenly called Carlos, and he said that he's not going to say everything Dr. Heavenly said, so that tells me she said some choice words about the fans and potentially the cast members of the show, but said that, people are calling her job and that they're having beef. And then he mentioned in this, basically trying to, include that through the grapevine, she's hearing from cast members as a result of this show, and that it was too much, it was becoming too much, and there was a decision to quote unquote take a break from Messy Mondays for Dr. Heavenly's mental health. Like when you have a cast, you have a problem, you like to resolve it. And he said, pretty much, he says Dr. Heavenly can take anything. And he didn't hear her talk this way, but basically, even after Dr. Heavenly shared this, and shared her concerns, Carlos King still had her on future episodes of Messy Mondays to quote-unquote finish out the season, you guys. So wanted to review the show after the fact and didn't want to continue. And then he says this. Carlos King says you should not place blame on anybody in the cast for anybody's behavior. Then he makes a wild analogy, you guys, to the insurrectionists, you guys, that stormed the Capitol. And basically said that the insurrectionists went to jail and people blame the former president, but said that you have to be responsible for your own actions, and said that you should not be blaming cast members for behavior of other people, and that if you do something like that, you're disgusting. And that if you're calling people's places of employment, trying to get them fired or removed off of billings, he said that he doesn't think that the raindrops would stoop to that level or do anything like that. And he said that, you need to start holding the right people accountable, for their actions that's doing this. And saying that, people, basically that Dr. Heavenly's walking away from this for the time being, but then said this, and I quote, "This bleep has to stop," and then said that do not play with anyone, don't play with anybody in his life, and he doesn't think any raindrops have ever crossed the line, and then said, wanted to protect Dr. Heavenly's mental health, and said that Dr. Heavenly didn't lie, and that, then wanted to make it a point to say karma is real, and then wanted to make another comparison to the insurrectionists, and that they're in jail, and said that he denounces it, he doesn't stand for it, and that he is not a fan of people, and then says it's deplorable, like the same deplorable that Marceau keeps calling the millimeters, and how Marceau keeps comparing the millimeters to Trump supporters. Then says he gets into this at the reunion and says that Tiffany left and, basically alludes to some other stuff, which I'm going to assume Stormy confirms that she's going to leave at the reunion and protect black women, but then harassing black women's businesses that she owns, and that you have not seen the last of him and Dr. Heavenly. So I've got a lot to say. On this, right? First and foremost, how on earth did you think that your cast members were not going to watch this show? You have a huge platform, Carlos, and if you were running a show and you're saying certain things and having certain digs being thrown at these people or making certain accusations, you don't think it's going to get back? And what about the allegations that, because for me, I still feel the worst that you and Dr. Heavenly said was the comments about Sweet Tea's fertility. That was when it went completely too far. And you guys were speaking on her uterus and saying all of these things and saying all those issues about her just to throw digs, just to throw shade. That was the worst of it that I have ever heard y'all say. I find it interesting, though, that Dr. Heavenly is trying to use Love and Marriage Huntsville as the scapegoat, considering, like I said, she said way worse about her own cast members, about her own show on Married to Medicine, and has even said that she's been in trouble by Bravo for her YouTube show. And she's been in trouble by her own husband, Dr. Damon, for her commentary on Married to Medicine, to the point that she had to stop being on her own YouTube and reviewing the episodes with Carlos King on his YouTube. So I find it interesting that when she got in actual trouble with Bravo for Married to Medicine, she knew when to shut it down, but she cannot handle the heat of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Here's the thing. You admitted, Dr. Heavenly, that you never watched this show. And you're basically getting a Cliff Notes version of whatever you and Carlos King decide to pre-produce before you guys record the Messy Monday show. Because you first started doing it live, then you said somebody couldn't handle doing the show live anymore. You preferred to do the show live, and then you guys started doing it pre-recorded. That was what you spilled, your tea that you spilled, right? That you started doing it pre-recorded, but it was clear as day you didn't watch the show. Why are you calling people people names in the cast. Why are you making allegations about Shanita Foster and that she needs to sleep with Martell? And Shanita and Mel are supposed to be friends and all of these things. Why are you talking wild, saying that the cast hates Mel and that Mel needs to leave and get her own show and all of these other things? Why is it all of these other shenanigans? There were specific comments, reactions, looks that you guys were saying that was fueling the narrative, that was fueling the BS and the nonsense, right? And then, Carlos King, he always likes to do this. I'm not going to tell somebody else's story, but then he wants to piggyback once they do tell the story and try to bring levity to the situation. And wants to make it a point to say that he didn't fall out with Dr. Heavenly. Well, here's the thing. Even if you guys did fall out, do you think that you're going to tell your people that? No. At the end of the day, Dr. Heavenly understands, especially in this blogger space and in this reality TV space, that it is a very small world. She is going to try to maintain the connections regardless of what she truly thinks of you, Carlos. So obviously she's not going to bash you to your face. But I think this is a cop-out. And I still stand by the fact Dr. Heavenly went live herself and basically said that she's not trying to destroy any black families. And this was after the horrendous interview that took place with Marquez, when Marquez was exposing too much truth that was a complete 180 from what was airing on the show. And it pissed off Carlos King. And from Dr. Heavenly's point of view, she didn't like any of that. But I just find it interesting. This is the same person who is called Quad, all types of 304s, has, went after Simone and Cecil, has went after hardcore Toya, and has went after hardcore Mariah and Contessa and everything else, and especially Sweet Tea, and now, of course, Phaedra, that now all of a sudden Love and Marriage Huntsville is where she draws the line. When the show doesn't even have a tenth of the ratings or the attention that Married to Medicine has. And so then, Carlos King again wanting to say that this is his baby, this is what his creation is, it's the #1 show. He always wants to say this when he is not around Mel. But then when he's around Mel, wants to give her flowers, wants to say that, you brought this show to me, you're the one responsible for this, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. But anytime that the show is in, he feels that the show is, taking legs or is successful, he wants all the credit, he wants all the ownership for it, right? And this is no different, right? He feels as though he is, and I told you guys this, I told you Carlos King is working hard to protect Love and Marriage Huntsville. I told you guys this, but the problem is he does not want to listen to any constructive criticism or any constructive feedback, but, has the audacity to, try to spin this all around to, make this work for him. But then also refuse to say that it is Mel fans, Mel supporters, and the Millimeters, which I found interesting. I don't know if he's doing this intentionally to make it seem like it's all of a sudden not the Millimeters because he understands the backlash that is going to come with that. But my thing is this. You have created an entire season this season of a bash the Millimeters narrative. You had your own cast members, such as Marceau, tell Mel to her face that she needs to take control of the Millimeters. She needs to tell the Millimeters to pipe down and all of these things. And also you have Stormy, who is confronting Mel on the girls' trip, that is blaming the Millimeters for what happened with her at the warehouse and everything else. So you have and then you had Martell. blaming the millimeters and saying that they heightened things and escalated things because of his arrest, as opposed to him being, not taking accountability or responsibility for his own actions and all of the things. The millimeters kept being at the center of all of these people's issues. Marceau and Tisha even tried to say on the show that it was the millimeters as the reason for Black with a QUE being closed, but then they had to say in a later scene that it in fact was the local vendors, that it was people that surrounded him that were calling the church, or that the church people, the other vendors were calling the councilmen, basically saying that they needed to be inspected, they needed to be shut down, and X, Y, and Z. So, very interesting. Now, all of a sudden, you don't want to name a fan base. You don't want to specifically call out that it's Mel fans. And now you want to say that Mel is basically saying, because if you're saying all cast members, you're including Mel, right? And saying all cast members are not responsible for somebody else's behavior. But that is the opposite narrative of what is being displayed on the show. Can you make it make sense? So then also, wants to then feel like he is validated in how he directs people and some of the things that he says when he's reviewing these Bravo shows, but he never feels as though that anything that he said or done has gone too far, but basically admits that there is a dark side on reality TV. And here's the thing, too, if I haven't said this already. I am against, like I said, being in people's comments, calling people's businesses, harassing people, trying to make any type of threat. The best thing that you can do to send a message, especially when it comes to people's TV shows, is to just flat out not watch. Flat out not watch, flat out not entertain the foolishness, flat out not give ratings to say, hey, I am not going to continue to watch this show if this is going to be the direction, right? But this nonsense of, people taking it to another level, you still have not identified who these people are and actual receipts that these are in fact millimeters, right? But you're now trying to, quantify this and make it seem like it's just overall haters and disruptors. You will not say that they're millimeters, which I find very interesting considering Funky Dineva said it's the millimeters, Dr. Heavenly has said it's the millimeters, and Tasha K has said it's the millimeters, right? And so he is saying also, speaking on mental health and how mental health is important and to protect mental health and all these things, right? He is saying all of that. But nonetheless, you guys, he is saying protect mental health. But wasn't it in January that Mel sat socially distanced away from you, live in person at your Reality with the King live edition with Mel, and she is crying, she is emotional, and she is telling you that she felt that you knew what was going on with her and her ex-husband Martel, that Mel felt that she was not protected by this show, and Mel said specifically verbatim she wanted Martel fired from the show, and that it was not healthy, all of these things that he is doing to Mel behind the scenes, but you continue to give Martel a platform. He is enthralled in a criminal case. He is in with the Revenge P. He is involved in a custody battle with Mel, continuing to make wild accusations, continuing to try to set up different cast members, to try to, pin them against Mel and all of these things. And you say and do nothing. So how are you going to say that you're protecting Black women and protecting mental health when the star of your show, Mel, is telling you face to face her issues, her struggles, her crying, and your response is, oh, I was not as involved with the show as I once was, and I'm sorry to hear that. And then you bring out Sonny and Moses. Can you make it make sense? So please miss me with all of a sudden this concern for mental health, but your star of the show is dealing with the worst of it in terms of the things that her ex-husband is doing. And it's clear that the Alabama court system does not take family court seriously, because they should have been enforced everything that Martell needed to do the psych evaluation, needed to do the counseling with this child, and should have been enforcing these things instead of allowing him to continue to make frivolous motions to continue to extend this case in hopes it continues to one day grant him access to Mel again. It's too much, but you don't seem to care about that. As long as the cast is giving you entertainment and ratings and all of the things. And then also, comparing a fan base to the insurrectionists, Carlos King. And this is no different than Marceau continuing to push the narrative that millimeters and Trump supporters are the same people, you guys. I do not like that connotation. I do not like that comparison. There has been nothing that any fan of Love and Marriage Huntsville has done, or any hater or any troll, that is on the level of the insurrectionists, you guys. That is on the level of what some of the Trump supporters have said and done. That is flat out wrong. That is flat out disgusting. And that is a terrible analogy. An absolute terrible analogy. And it needs to be called out for that. Do find it interesting, like I said, that he is saying that the people who are doing all of this, that are causing all of this ruckus, need to be held responsible for their own actions, and said point blank, don't blame the cast members. But it was okay for you to fuel the cast members to place blame on Mel, whether it was via Stormy, whether it was via Martell, whether it was via Marceau, that and even Tisha and others, that it was Mel's responsibility to hold the millimeters in line, that it was Mel's responsibility to say and do something to the millimeters for all of these shenanigans to stop, and that there was no accountability for anything that these people were doing in regards to their own issues, right? So, but again, and then Carlos King inserting the raindrops. Do the raindrops even watch Love and Marriage Huntsville? Because I'm just trying to find out where that demographic of fans exist, you guys. Because, whenever Carlos King needs Mel for promo, he's like, oh, I'm a mellow drop and I'm the biggest mellometer, right? But where are the raindrops when it comes to watching Love and Marriage Huntsville? It seems that your raindrops, Carlos, is going to support everything you do that has nothing to do with Love and Marriage Huntsville, right? So with that being said, and then also basically trying to, put out there that it's karma. But here's the thing, karma goes all around. Karma goes all the way around. And if there are people behind the scenes also trying to attack bloggers and trying to get people's channels stricken and get people's channels demonetized and get people's channels taken away, there's karma for that as well. Like we can't keep, picking and choosing and cherry picking on what we're going to call an issue and what we're not going to say what it is. Right? Like, we need to keep it a buck across the board that, there's been problematic things that have been said by these cast members. But I find it interesting, Carlos, that you do not want to change the course of the show, is what you're telling me. You're fine with Tiffany walking away, and according to Stormy, who she said herself on a live that she left the show because it was too toxic, you're fine with her walking away. You're fine with Dr. Heavenly using this as an excuse to walk away. But you don't feel that this doesn't start at the top. That changes need to be made at the top here to get this show back on track. You feel that as the show is going on right now, that everything is fine and dandy, that everything is good to go. No. I am going to need you to understand that this is not acceptable behavior, but why is it okay for your cast members, including recently Ken, including recently Nell, on Instagram Lives, on Facebook Live, still blaming the millimeters for any type of draggings that they're receiving? And anytime somebody tries to defend Mel, they're called harassers. Can you make it make sense? Like, why can't we, why did it have to take for Dr. Heavenly to leave for you to finally say something, Carlos? You've literally allowed these past 10 months of a onslaught of bashing against the millimeters. The cast has elevated the millimeters to the level of the Beehive, to the level of Barty Gang, to the level of the Barbs, and now comparing millimeters to, like, per Marceau, the Trump supporters, the MAGA supporters, calling them deplorable. You're now comparing the fan base to insurrectionists and all of these things, which is also associated with people who are fans of the former President Trump. Like, are we going to continue to play these semantics? Either say it with your chest or don't say it at all. But I think definitely something was said, because nonetheless, you can't hold one person to be responsible for all these people. But had you nipped this in the bud, had you never brought this as a storyline on the show, we wouldn't be here. I said that it was not a good idea to ever make a fan base a storyline for the show and use them as an excuse for anything and everything that was going wrong with people's lives. Here's the thing. There are fans who are just flat out haters, who flat out cannot stand these people. And that's the thing. But don't label it as, oh, it's a millimeter, oh, it's a Mel supporter. No. Unless you have proof that it is, you're just saying that because Mel has the largest fan base. But best believe there are plenty of people who don't like this show, who don't see it for this show. There are plenty of people who don't like you and don't see it for you, and therefore, have taken matters into their own hands. Now, for me, like I said, I record my videos and go. And I don't have time for the extra tomfoolery because I have an actual job. I have actual things going on in my life. So nonetheless, my reaction is to the tomfoolery, and I call out the double standards. I call out the hypocrisy because it's bogus. It's bogus how now all of a sudden you want to take up for Dr. Heavenly and her mental health because you like her, but you have not considered Mel's mental health. It is nothing wrong with removing Martell from the show. He is still going to get a check as a producer. But if he is terrorizing Mel behind the scenes, still using his baby mama to terrorize Mel, and now trying to utilize the cast members if they're out and about at events against Mel to try to terrorize her, it's not okay. And I don't understand what's not computing with that. But, we've got to come to some type of resolve, though, because I feel like even with this live, this is just going to fuel more people who are going to be pissed off when it's all said and done, because we still really have not got to the issue at hand, which is none of this would have happened had you not devote the season to blaming Mel fans and the millimeters. But now all of a sudden you don't want to say Mel fans and the millimeters because you understand that that's going to garner the backlash. But at some point, something has to give. Something has to give, you guys. So there is that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.